Tyler Perry has reportedly cut ties with the Sussexes and is demanding the return of a secret $14 million debt, effectively ending his role as their biggest Hollywood protector and leaving their financial future hanging by a thread. Welcome back to the channel. We have to sit down and really unpack what is happening right now because the news coming out of the tabloids today, specifically from Globe and Radar Online, is nothing short of catastrophic for Harry and Meghan. For years, we have watched this slow-motion train wreck, but what broke on February 11, 2026 feels different. This isn't just a rumored spat or a declined invitation to a party. This is about money, it is about betrayal, and it is about the one man who stood by them when the rest of the world and their own families backed away. We are talking about Tyler Perry, the man they call the godfather to their daughter, Lilibet. If these reports are true and the noise is getting too loud to ignore, the bank of Tyler Perry is officially closed and he wants his deposit back. To understand the gravity of this situation, we have to look back at how we got here. You remember the beginning of their so-called freedom flight, when they left Canada, panicked and claiming they had been cut off financially by King Charles. It was Tyler Perry who swooped in like a savior. He didn't just offer them a cup of tea, he gave them a mansion in Beverly Ridge. He gave them a full security detail, which costs millions a year when they were crying about losing their police protection. He barely knew them. He did it out of the goodness of his heart, and perhaps because he bought into the narrative that they were these poor, persecuted victims escaping a terrible institution. He provided the very foundation that allowed them to set up shop in California. Without him, that transition would have been a disaster. He was the launch pad. For years, he has been their fiercest defender, going on television to say how much they love each other, how misunderstood they are, painting Meghan as this saintly figure under attack. He put his own reputation on the line to validate them to the rest of Hollywood. But here we are in 2026, and the tone has shifted drastically. The insiders talking to the press are saying that the friendship is over, and the reason is classic. It is a $14 million hole in the ground. The report suggests that over the years, what we thought was pure generosity might have actually been a series of loans or financial understandings that were expected to be repaid once the Sussex empire took off. The problem is, as we all know, the empire never really took off. It sputtered, it stalled, and now it seems to be collapsing. The figure of $14 million is staggering. But when you look at their lifestyle, it is actually quite believable. Think about the private jets, the legal fees for the endless lawsuits they seem to enjoy filing, the PR teams they hire to fix their image, which only seems to get worse, and the wardrobe costs. That money had to come from somewhere, and if the rumors are correct, a large chunk of it came from Tyler Perry's pocket with a promise that he would be reimbursed. Now, why is this coming out now? Why, after all this time, would Tyler Perry turn around and allegedly demand repayment? The word on the street is that he feels used. It is a terrible feeling to realize that your friendship was transactional. There is a growing sentiment in their circle that people are only useful to Meghan and Harry as long as they can provide something, be it a house, a jet, or a connection. Once the resource is tapped out, or if you dare to ask for accountability, you are suddenly the enemy. Sources close to the situation are hinting that Tyler Perry started to see the cracks in the facade. He started to see that the victimhood narrative didn't match the reality of their spending and their behavior. You can only listen to someone complain about how hard their life is for so long while they are sitting in a borrowed multi-million-dollar estate before you start to wonder if you are being played. It seems the ATM finally asked for a receipt, and that caused the explosion. It is also worth noting that Tyler Perry is a self-made man. He worked for every dime he has. He understands the value of a dollar and the value of loyalty. If he feels that he has been taken for a ride by a couple who feel entitled to his wealth simply because of who they are, that is a bridge burned that can never be rebuilt. The report from Globe claims he has had enough and is looking to recoup his losses before the ship sinks entirely. It is a business decision as much as a personal one. If he sees the writing on the wall that their earning potential is drying up, he wants to get his money out now before they declare bankruptcy, which is another word being whispered in these circles. The reaction from the Montecito camp, specifically from Meghan, is exactly what you would expect. The insiders are saying she is furious. But she isn't furious at herself for not paying a debt. She is reportedly furious at Tyler for asking. There is this recurring theme with her where accountability feels like an attack. The narrative being spun from their side is likely one of betrayal. How could he do this to us, after everything we have been through? It is a classic deflection tactic. Instead of saying, "Yes, we owe this money, let us work out a payment plan," the response is emotional manipulation. She is likely viewing this as another powerful man trying to control her or bring her down, rather than a creditor asking for what is rightfully his. It is the same pattern we saw with her own father and with the royal family. As soon as someone says no or wait a minute, they are cut out. But cutting out Tyler Perry is not like cutting out her father. Tyler Perry is Hollywood royalty. He holds the keys to the kingdom that Meghan desperately wants to rule. If Tyler Perry walks away, and worse, if he sues or makes this debt public in a legal way, it sends a signal to the entire industry. Hollywood is a small town. Everyone talks. If Tyler Perry, the most generous and supportive friend they had, says, "These people are bad news," or "They don't pay their bills," that is the death knell for their reputation. Who is going to work with them? Who is going to lend them a house for the summer? Who is going to invite them to the A-list parties? No one. Losing Tyler Perry is not just losing a friend. It is losing their credit rating in the entertainment industry. It validates everything the critics have been saying for years, that they are takers, not givers. We also have to look at what this money was likely spent on, which makes the situation even more infuriating for someone like Perry. It wasn't spent on charity. It wasn't spent on building schools or helping the needy. It was spent on maintaining an image. The security costs alone are astronomical, but that is a prison of their own making. They created the hysteria that requires that level of security. They demand a lifestyle that mimics the one they left behind in the UK, but without the taxpayer funding to support it. They wanted the royal perks without the royal duty, and they expected their rich friends to pick up the tab. It seems Tyler Perry was the one holding the biggest tab, and he is done. There is also the element of the children. Tyler is Lilibet's godfather. That is a spiritual and personal bond. For him to threaten legal action or demand this money back suggests that the relationship has deteriorated to a point of no return. You don't sue the parents of your goddaughter unless something unforgivable has happened. This hints at a deeper personal falling out behind the scenes, perhaps related to how the children are being raised or the environment in the house. We have heard rumors for a long time that the atmosphere in Montecito is not the happy, sun-drenched paradise they show in their Netflix documentaries. If Tyler saw something he didn't like, or if he offered advice that was rejected with hostility, that could have been the catalyst. The money might just be the tangible way he is severing the tie. Let's be honest, the timing is also very suspicious. February 2026, we are looking at a couple who haven't had a hit project in quite some time. The big contracts are expiring or have been canceled. The books aren't selling like they used to. The podcast deals are gone. The cash flow is a serious problem. If Tyler Perry knows this, he knows that if he doesn't ask for his $14 million now, he will never see it. It is a race against the inevitable financial collapse. And think about the humiliation for Meghan. She prides herself on being this savvy businesswoman, this mogul. To have a headline screaming that she owes millions to a friend destroys that brand. It paints them as grifters, living on handouts, unable to stand on their own 2 feet despite all the opportunities they were handed on a silver platter. The media fallout from this is going to be brutal. The Globe and Radar Online are just the beginning. Once the mainstream outlets start digging into the details of this secret debt, we are going to learn a lot more about their actual finances. We might find out that the house is leveraged to the hilt. We might find out that they are drowning in other debts we don't even know about. Tyler Perry's move is like pulling the loose thread on a cheap sweater. The whole thing is about to unravel, and for Harry, this must be terrifying. He has burned his bridges with his family in London. He has no safety net there. If he loses his safety net in America, what does he have left? He is completely isolated, dependent on a wife whose ambitions have seemingly driven them off a cliff. And now, the one man who acted like a father figure to him in the U.S. is handing him a bill. This situation also highlights the incredible arrogance that seems to plague their decision-making. Did they really think Tyler Perry wouldn't mind? Did they think $14 million was just a gift because they are so special? It speaks to a level of delusion that is hard for regular people to comprehend. Most of us worry about paying back a $20 loan from a friend. They seemingly took millions and assumed it was their due. It feeds into the Duchess difficult narrative, the idea that the world owes her a living. But the real world, even the glitzy world of Hollywood, operates on exchange. You have to give something back. You have to be talented or pleasant or profitable. If you are none of those things and you are just expensive, people cut you loose. Now we have to pivot to what is inevitably happening behind the closed doors of that Montecito Olive Garden. You know the old saying, when poverty comes in at the door, love flies out at the window. Well, poverty is a relative term here, but when you are $14 million in the hole to a friend and the world knows about it, the stress in that marriage must be absolutely suffocating. And that brings us to the rumors that are spreading like wildfire through the grapevine. We are hearing that the Tyler Perry situation was the final nail in the coffin for Harry and Meghan's relationship. The word is that they are effectively living separate lives. It is the classic roommate scenario, but in a mansion where they can go days without seeing each other. Sources are whispering that the arguments over money have turned into silence. Cold, icy silence. You have to imagine the dynamic. Harry gave up everything, his family, his country, his military titles, his friends, for this freedom. And now, he is sitting in a house he can't afford, with a wife who is reportedly blaming him for their failures. The narrative Meghan seems to be pushing internally is that Harry didn't hustle enough, that his family sabotaged them, that he didn't secure the inheritance he should have. She is looking for a scapegoat because her brand, the brand of Meghan the mogul, is crumbling. And Harry? He is looking at a woman who promised him that they would change the world, and instead they have just changed their zip code and alienated everyone who ever cared about them. The insiders are saying that divorce lawyers have been quietly consulted, not officially, not yet, but hypothetically. Meghan is a planner. We know this. She doesn't make a move without a strategy. If she senses that the ship is sinking, she is going to grab the life vest and the jewelry box before she jumps. The speculation is that she is already crafting the narrative of the long-suffering wife who tried to save a broken prince but couldn't fix his trauma. It is always about the narrative with her. But here is where it gets really juicy and honestly a little bit frightening for them. While they are bickering in California, the lights are burning late at Buckingham Palace. Do not think for one second that the king and his aides are just sitting around drinking tea and waiting for the news. They have known this was coming. The men in gray suits, as Diana used to call them, have reportedly drafted a contingency plan. We are talking about a full-scale extraction operation for Prince Harry. The rumors suggest that King Charles, despite all the hurt and the attacks in that book, still loves his son. He wants him back, but on the palace's terms. The real battle, the nuclear war that is brewing, is over the children, Archie and Lilibet. This is the heartbeat of the entire scandal. The palace is reportedly terrified that if a divorce happens in California, Meghan will use those children as the ultimate bargaining chips. We are talking about a custody battle that would make Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt look like a friendly disagreement. The king wants a relationship with his grandchildren. He has barely seen them. The strategy being discussed in London allegedly involves using Harry's diplomatic status and royal lineage to argue that the children belong, at least partially, in the UK. Can you imagine the headline war? Meghan claiming the palace is trying to steal her babies, and the palace claiming they are trying to save the children from a toxic environment. It is going to be the ugliest divorce in royal history, surpassing even Charles and Diana. And the tragic part is, those kids are innocent in all of this. They are growing up isolated from their cousins, George, Charlotte, and Louis. They don't know their grandfather. And now their godfather, Tyler Perry, is demanding millions from their parents. What kind of stability is that? We also have to look at the wider circle. Tyler Perry leaving is a symptom of a disease that has infected their entire social life. Look at who else is gone. Where are the Clooneys? George and Amal were front and center at the wedding, treating them like best friends. We haven't seen them together in years. George reportedly said he didn't even know them when he was at the wedding. It was all for show. And Oprah? The woman who gave them the platform for that bombshell interview? She has been very, very quiet. She distanced herself when the Queen died, and she hasn't been rushing to their defense lately. These Hollywood elites are sharks. They smell blood in the water. They know that Harry and Meghan are radioactive. You can't build a brand on complaining and bashing your family. Eventually, people get bored and then they get annoyed. By 2026, we have seen the collapse of almost every business venture they tried. Remember the podcasts? Canceled. Remember the animated series? Scrapped. Remember the lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard? It became a laughingstock. You cannot sell jam and dog biscuits for exorbitant prices when people can buy the same thing at the local market for $5. The arrogance of thinking that just putting a Duchess stamp on a jar of preserves would make them billionaires is astounding. It shows a complete lack of understanding of how the real world works. They wanted the billion-dollar brand without doing the work. And now that the money isn't coming in, the debt to Tyler Perry isn't just a bill, it is a catastrophe. They don't have the liquidity, they are house poor, they are living in a gilded cage with a mortgage or a debt to a friend that is strangling them. Let's talk about Harry for a second. Just Harry. Strip away the titles and the drama. We are looking at a man who seems utterly defeated. The photos we see of him lately, the ones not retouched or staged for a magazine, show a man who looks lost. He gave up his military brotherhood where he was just Captain Wales, respected for his service. He gave up his unruly, fun-loving friends in London for a life of green juices and therapy speak in California. Is he happy? Does he look happy? The rumors are that he is deeply homesick. He misses the pubs. He misses the rugby. He misses the banter. He is living in a world of superficial Hollywood agents and lawyers, people who smile to your face and stab you in the back. Tyler Perry was supposed to be the exception. He was supposed to be the real friend. And now that bridge is burning. There is a sense that Harry is waking up from a very long, very expensive dream. He is realizing that the grass wasn't greener. It was just astroturf, and now it is peeling up at the corners. If the divorce happens, where does he go? He can't stay in Montecito. He can't afford it on his own, and honestly, why would he want to? It is the scene of the crime, the place where his ambitions went to die. He will likely have to go back to the UK, tail between his legs, and ask his father for a cottage on the estate. It is a humiliating prospect for a man who screamed, "I am free," to the world. And what about Meghan? If Tyler Perry sues and the divorce happens, she will play the ultimate victim. She will write another book. She will go on another talk show. But the audience is shrinking. We are tired. The world is tired. The poor me act doesn't work when you are crying in a designer dress about owing $14 million. The relatability is gone. She thought she would be the queen of Hollywood, but Hollywood demands talent and grit. It doesn't reward title dropping. She is finding out the hard way that without the royal family, she is just another former actress with a lot of baggage. The palace's secret plan also reportedly includes a fierce NDA strategy. If they help Harry come back, if they pay off his debts, perhaps even settling with Tyler Perry quietly to avoid court, they will demand silence. Total silence. No more books, no more interviews. Harry will have to disappear into the countryside and live a quiet life. That is the price of re-entry. And for Meghan, the palace will likely fight tooth and nail to ensure she doesn't get a penny more than she is legally entitled to. They have learned their lesson. They won't be generous. They will be clinical. As we look at this date, February 11th, 2026, it feels like the end of an era. The era of Harry and Meghan global superstars is officially over. It died under the weight of its own hypocrisy and debt. Tyler Perry asking for his money back is just the reality check that broke the spell. It is the moment the lights came on in the club and everyone realized the party was ugly. So where does this leave us? We are watching a tragedy, really. Two people who had the world at their feet, who could have done so much good within the institution, or even outside of it if they had been humble and hard-working. Instead, they chose ego. They chose fast money. They chose to bite the hand that fed them over and over again. And now, the bill has come due. I want to leave you with this thought. If your best friend, the person who sheltered you and protected you when you were at your lowest, turns around and says, "You owe me, and I am done with you," what does that say about you? It says everything. It says that the problem isn't the British press. It isn't the royal family. It isn't the haters. The problem is looking back at them in the mirror. We will have to wait and see if the lawsuit actually gets filed or if they scramble to find the cash. Maybe they will sell the house. Maybe Harry has a secret trust fund we don't know about. But the damage is done. The reputation is shattered. And as for the marriage, well, I wouldn't bet a single dollar on it lasting through the year. What do you think? Is Tyler Perry right to demand his money back, or is he kicking them when they are down? And do you think King Charles should bail Harry out and bring him home, or has Harry made his bed and now he has to lie in it? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one of them. We will be keeping a very close eye on the court filings in California and the flight logs to London. Until next time, keep your eyes open, because in this saga, the truth is always stranger than fiction.